It's been some tournament, hasn't it, John? When you think about the roller coaster ride, the illness, the talk that he was going to pull out altogether out of some of the matches that led to this moment tonight, and here he is about to hold up Norm for the second time.
It really was a roller coaster, and I think that's what you expect. It's an endurance battle sometimes, these Grand Slams, over the course of the 2 weeks. You're not going to be 100% the whole time, and I think that was very evident in the case of Jannik Sinner. When you look back and you think about how close he was to perhaps going out against Holger Rune, and then the chat wasn't there that perhaps he's got pneumonia, and he comes out and put out a really good display against our own Aussie Alex de Minaur. But then to get to this stage and play the way he did, he really has stamped himself as one of the great hardcourt players.
He most certainly has, and he's knocking off some of the biggest names in the game too. Remarkably now, 22 sets in a row he's won against players in the top 10, John.
Yeah, it's ridiculous, and it's also what he does under pressure. We saw that ridiculous stat where he's won his last 16 of 18 tie breaks. He plays the big points well, does Jannik Sinner, and that's a trademark of the very, very best players that we've seen play this game.
Jim, the youngest since you here at the Australian Open 1992 and 93 to win multiple Australian Open crowns. Some achievement.
It is some achievement, and it's been something to watch him in the last 12 months, James, and as he's ascended to the top of the tennis mountain, how gracefully and easily he's been able to just keep working on the process. This is a guy who really doesn't get too far ahead of himself, doesn't get too high, doesn't get too low. He did show us some of the tension he was feeling in his body, which is understandable when you're playing for another slice of history. This guy looks like he's going to be set to make a lot of history in men's tennis. His game is so good. He still has room to improve in those volleys. We saw him bring in the drop shots. Those were effective for him as the match wore on, but more than anything, it's just the ultimate consistency and the all-around talent. This guy looks like he has staying power.
On the other side of the net, John, there have been 5 men before that have lost their first 3 Grand Slam finals. Andre Agassi, Goran Ivanisevic, Andy Murray, Dominic Thiem, Casper Ruud. So there is some hope for the German who's got himself to world number 2 and is playing career best tennis.
Yeah, he is playing career best tennis, and this one will sting like the other 2 did. That's for sure. Alexander Zverev, though, I think some people have jumped the gun a little bit saying, was this his last opportunity? I think we have to remember that he's the second best player in the world currently, at least on ranking, and he really did a great job to put himself in this position. But unfortunately tonight, if you're a Zverev fan, he was no match for the Italian.
You can add Ivan Lendl to that list as well, going 0-3 in their first 3. So at 27 years of age, still plenty left in the tank for Alexander Zverev, but that man on screen, the Italian, it'll be some reception when he gets home. He was already a superstar. Now it just goes another level, Jim.
Yeah, there's no doubt about that. There will have been a lot of people in Italy tuning in for this one. He is becoming an icon of sport, and wonderful moments for him with his team here to celebrate. And he will have a nice long ride back home to the mountains as he departs Australia with another beautiful trophy.
He most certainly will. Moments away from the trophy presentation, John, in amongst that team is Darren Cahill, the super coach who just keeps producing as well, the Aussie.
I mean, how good is Darren Cahill? When you look at his resume, I think Jim might have said it the other day that he probably belongs in the Tennis Hall of Fame. He had a great tennis career, but I'll tell you what, he makes his impact as a coach, doesn't he? Has had some of the very, very best players, and once again, he's proving his worth, the work that he's done with Jannik.
Wide World of Sports on YouTube is your home of the tennis this summer.
With highlights of the best matches of the summer of tennis, the on-court interviews and every day with the morning serve, you'll be ahead of the game.
So click that subscribe button so you don't miss a thing this summer.